Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Car Reviews podcast here with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today, I'm really excited to be showing you a 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230SL Roadster. This car is also known as a Pagoda, which is just a nickname it earned from the concave top on the hard top. So there is a hard top included with this car, and of course the soft top today is down. So if you want to see pictures of the car with the hard top in place, we have many on our detailed listing. So lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. I'm going to start up the car and then I'll handhold the camera. We can take a quick good look at the engine, hear it running, and we'll also have a listen to the exhaust. So here we go with a startup. So no trouble at all starting the car up. I'll just give it a little gas to get it to an idle. And as I'm looking at the tach here, it's running at about 750 or 800 RPM. And it's idling nicely. I'll add that the engine's pretty cold right now. So once it's warm, it'll idle nicely. Just keeping an eye on the tach here for us to get to idle. Okay, so the 65 230 SL by Mercedes-Benz has achieved a nice warm idle. And we'll just get a closer look at some of the details under hood here, and then we'll have a nice listen. So it's a bit breezy today. I'm going to let the hood down. Because I didn't want the hood to go down in an uncontrolled fashion. I'll worry about the rest of it when we're done with this intro to the video. But in addition to listening to the engine, of course, I want to give you a listen to the exhaust here. Twin polished pipes here on the 2.3 liter inline six. So here, let's have a listen. Okay, so I think that gives us a good listen at the 1965 230SL by Mercedes-Benz. Now we'll move on to an exterior tour of the car. So we'll start our exterior tour of the 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230SL Roadster here from the front. A very elegant grille, and the headlights are really elegant. Period. Just elegance of the period on display, as well as the big three-pointed star in the center of the grille. There's another Mercedes-Benz logo here at the front of the hood. And working our way around. So a chrome one-piece bumper up front. And when we get to the rear, you'll see how the bumper in the rear is a two-piece unit, also chrome. And then original style wheel covers with that three-pointed star with matching paint color. So over the wheels, there's matching painted wheels, as well as the matching paint wheel cover, and sort of outlined in chrome, and trim rings in chrome as well. The tires on the car were mounted when the current owner purchased 7 years back in 2017. He opted for quick and got a set of Moto Masters. It's a 14-inch wheel. I think I remember seeing 185/70, but I'll double check on that when we get to the side that's in the sun. I'm having trouble seeing the reading on the tire from here. Another elegant touch is the pinstripe here, double pinstripe. That's a decal though, so if someone wanted the monochromatic white look, it's easily removed with a heat gun. And a bit of cladding down here for protection on the side of the door and the fender and quarter. Mentioning the quarters and the fenders, 3 of the 4 corners are replaced. So again, we're not talking about a number 1 car here. And without the owner pointing that out to me, I probably wouldn't have pegged it as such. But he's being upfront, and we've tried to include as much of that in our description as we could. Another area he pointed out, I'll get to those that two-piece bumper here in a second. He pointed out that there's some filler in place here, and when I look closely, I can see that it's been in use. But again, this is a car that you can fool a lot of your friends with, and you can fool a lot of people while driving down the road, because without the up-close look, they'd have no idea that this isn't a number 1 or number 2 car. But as I say, I was talking about the 2-piece chrome rear bumper. So both sides of chrome looks very good, no pitting. There's a good look at both. And then the exhaust finishers in a matching polished look as well. So 2 pipes coming out. The consistent pinstripe over on this side as well. And here's a better look at the set of 4 matching Motomasters. They're date coded 2017, and the size of the tires is 195/75 R14 all the way around. So square setup. 2017, as I say, for the date code, and that matches up to when this seller bought the car in 2017. Again, this seller has done a few miles with the car, under 5,000. It most recently had an oil change. While it sounds like a long ago, at 2022, he estimates he's driven the car under 500 miles since. So maybe it's time for a change, but not because the oil be dirty, just because it's getting on in age. So one little detail here is this antenna, manual antenna. There's a shot of it in the detailed listing for the car with it raised. So I'm not going to raise it now on the video. It's a bit stiff, as you'd expect for a 1965 model year, but it does raise, and it's functional if there's a radio in place. We'll get to that in a moment. But just I'm going to zoom in on the elegance of that headlight. It really is a pretty piece, and like they say, they don't make them like that anymore for a nice 60-year-old car. But looking down the side, I won't call it flawless because it's not, but it's very presentable. On the driver's side here, there are a couple of really light dings in the driver door. I don't even know if the video will pick them up. I had a hard time photographing them as well. So with that said, they're not very major, but I'll do my best to pick them up with the video camera so I can see them while I'm standing this far away, but from here, I do not. Lots of chrome on the car, lots of chrome touches. So chrome driver's side mirror. Only one side mirror on this car, which was pretty standard offering in 1965. No passenger side exterior mirror. And we've got this for air intake to the cabin. And chrome even for the windshield wiper arms. Chrome windshield surround. And where the hardtop gets attached. We're not going to show the hardtop in this video, but we do have photos on the listing for, showing off the hardtop for lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. One little piece here, you can see how this is well covered. The top mechanism is well covered. Mechanism might not be the right word because it's not power, but if we go over to this side, that little cover piece is missing. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but again, we want to be upfront as we can, because this is not, we don't claim it to be a number 1 car. And speaking of that, I'll try to show some of the flaws in the paint. There are some flaws in the paint. Many of them have been touched up, but I'll just go through them because we're trying to give you the full picture. And I'm just using the Toonie here to give you a sense of perspective. So there's something that's been touched up. Another one here that's been touched up. And then down here, right up here at where the hood comes up. There are pictures on the detailed listing of the clamshell hood in the up position. So the hinges for the hood are on the front, in other words, when I say clamshell hood. And then just along the opening here for the hood, there's some paint imperfections. Do you see a little bit of dings here? Not sure if the video camera will even pick them up because they're quite light. And then some touching up's been done here on this fender. I mentioned earlier about the light dings in the driver door that, as I say, I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick them up. I showed you where there's some filler been inserted on in between the two rear bumper pieces. And here's a little bit of touch-up paint as well above these tail lights. But that gives you a good sense of the condition of the car, cosmetically, I suppose. Not a perfect one, but pretty presentable. I mean, a 1965 230 SL for restoration, you're going to be paying up for, and that's pre-restoration. So this is a long way ahead of a car like that. But I'll walk around to the other side. We'll take a little tour of the interior. I just dropped my toonie in case it went through the camera's view. So climbing in, even that latch and the feel of the door feels like the old style German manufacturing. Before I climb in, I'll show you that. So these are vinyl seats, white vinyl. And this driver's seat does suffer from a cut. So it'd be probably pretty easy to reupholster just the seat back, maybe even that one section, because that's the only tear I see in the seats. There's a little light cracking, I suppose, there on the passenger seat. I guess I'll call it imperfect but lovable. Manual windows on the 65 230 SL. That's the door latch, and that's the manual lock. There's a mat pocket here. And then climbing in, as you see, it's a 4-speed manual. So you can see the 3 pedals in place down there. Good solid driver door, as you hear. And here's a look at the instrumentation by VDO, still a mainstay among German manufacturers. A 7,000 RPM tach with a red line around 6,500. And the speedo that maxes out at 140 miles an hour. The current owner is not sure, but he believes this to be a Canadian market car. He purchased from a longtime owner in Toronto. And of course, 1965 is before the time that we in Canada embraced the metric system. So in 1965, all of the speedometers were in miles per hour. And then some accessory gauges in the center for coolant temperature, oil pressure, and the fuel level. And in the center now, the cabin does blow air through it. However, the HVAC otherwise has been removed. There is a dealer installed, I suppose installed is the wrong word. There was a dealer installed air conditioning system, which comes along with the car. There are photos of it in the detailed listing. Again, lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. But some of the ductwork is not in place, so to get it reinstalled correctly and properly, it's going to take a little bit of work, but most of the parts are there. When I say most, that's because I'm excluding some of the ductwork that is missing. I think this area is for a cigarette lighter, and it is missing. And as I said, there's no radio in place. I was referring to the antenna earlier. So, but a standard size, pretty easy hookup probably for a radio. The glove box, I haven't tried to open it, but I might need a key for that. So I'm not sure about opening it. I do have the key here. Maybe I'll come back to it. It's just hard to do with just the one hand. There is a beautiful VDO clock, but it's right twice a day. So it's been at 4:07 since we arrived. So it's not running. Not sure about the condition of it. matching door card over there with the manual lock, manual window, and the latch. And the carpets do show some, probably some sun. Bleaching's too strong a word for it because it's not that pronounced. But they do show some wear from the sun. But they are a pretty thick plush carpet. And the mat over here on the passenger side matches. And there's a good look at the floor underneath. I'll show you the driver's side when I climb out of the car. And another item that the current owner did was to install lap belts for both passengers. So yeah, this car was originally manufactured with no seat belts. So climbing back out, I think I lost my tunings here in the driver's seat. Might have lost one forever. There's a good look at the interior of the door. You can see here that was the original color of the car. So it's a little more noticeable over on the passenger side. So I'll give you a good look at that as well. And there's our driver's side seat belt. Putting the seat back. There's my tuning. I get to take it with me after all. And matching carpets here in the rear. A couple of speakers. So car seems ready to go if the new owner wants to install a new head unit, because there is an antenna. There's a pair of speakers back there. Handbrake in here. And there's a good look at the floor on the driver's side. The 3 pedals, of course. While I'm thinking of it, I'll wander over to that passenger door and show you that color of the original paint. So there's a bit of a look at it. There is some paint chipping on it. Not visible when the door is closed, of course, but now that we have the door open, we get a good bit of a look at the better look of the original color on the 1965 230SL. And here's a good look at the nice clean trunk. I'll show you the trunk lid. And there's a nice vinyl covering for the floor here. One item that was interesting that the owner wanted to tell us about is that this is a very early 1965 model, built certainly in 1964. Midway through the 1965 model year, they went from a vertical stored spare tire to horizontally stored. So that's a tell that the car is an early 1965, the vertically stored spare tire. We'll peel back this vinyl covering, and you can see a pretty nice metal floor there. And there's another separate piece to here. We'll show you that as well. And as far as the underside goes, we've got a dedicated video to the underside. So I'm not going to shoot that in as part of this video, but just take a look at our detailed listing, lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Excuse me, as well as the video. There's several dedicated stills as well. So there's a good look at the underside of the car on the detailed listing. Okay, so here's a good look at the engine compartment. Now that I see some of the graphics, I'm going to move over to the other side, but there's a photo of this on our detailed listing, but I'll show off this data plate now while we're on this side. There's another important one on the driver's side as well, so we'll show that when we get over there. Kind of a neat look with the clamshell hood and front hinged hood. And here's the other data plate I wanted to show you, both in place. And here's a good look. So many might assume that a 230 SL implies it's a 2.3 liter, which is correct. They might also assume that an engine that displacement is a 4-cylinder engine. However, there they'd be incorrect. We've got an inline 6 here. And if I get in close, it even displays the firing order of the cylinders. And there's the big oil cap and the 3-pointed star in place as well, a couple of places in the valve cover. And but a nice presentable engine bay. This is part of a fairly large collection for one person here in Burlington, Ontario. And it's with a person who definitely cares for his cars. You might have noticed we sold an Acura NSX, a 1996 Acura NSX in August. And that had been stored at this private facility for 2 or 3 years, and that was because the ailing owner is a good friend of the owner of this car. So the owner of this car let his friend store the car at his site and his indoor heated facility, which is quite a piece. You might notice some of it in the background of 1 or 2 of the videos or photos. But as they say, 230SL to imply a 2.3 liter. This one's an inline 6, factory rated at 170 horsepower. Running nicely. Do check our detailed listing for lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. There you'll see a startup, engine idle, and exhaust video, as well as several driving videos to show it propelling, show that power plant propelling the car forward.